This is Maya Millette, 39 years old. She's missing from Chula Vista, California, near San Diego. She hasn't been seen since January 7th. This is footage from today, May 7th. There was another search warrant served. Maya's husband, Larry, gave an interview earlier this year. So let's take a listen to what he has to say.
Thursday night, like we got into a kind of an argument, and we've been having like problems, for about a year. We kind of like been up and down and stuff like that. But after that, I give her space. But on Friday, I could still hear her, but I didn't physically see her when I got home. But that's like normal too, because we have lots of bedrooms and it's a 2-story house, and we kind of like, well, I give her space. So, but that's why every time someone says Thursday, yes, it's physically, or visually see her, but for me, it's Friday night. I can hear her like wrestling around, making dinner for herself in another bedroom, and I'm sleeping with the kids in another bedroom.
Okay.
So upstairs and she's downstairs, kind of deal, kind of like a roommate thing. It's kind of like giving each other space. Well, sure. I don't need the space. She always wants the space.
Got it.
They're with my two girls because they do their homeschool.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just had my son with me. So when I came back, she was still there on Friday. We can hear her downstairs, like after I'm done giving the kids baths and feeding them and everything. And on Saturday morning, when her parents came by, they started checking the hospitals. 12:30, they finally filed the police report. And I was like, well, maybe give her some time, because I'd call like at 4:30, because, give her some time if it's really, really out of the ordinary. Yeah, so after that, they started the investigation. Well, 3 cops came. I let them search the house. They looked all. My in-laws been here the whole time. They start doing the neighbors, the cameras and everything, trying to figure out when she left. Like they can see it, but they can't really because it was nighttime kind of deal. We're just basically trying everything and anything, trying to find her. Worried, but I wasn't like totally worried until the birthday. I was thinking, okay, maybe like she's just blowing off steam, just like doing what she told me before, where she wants everyone to leave her alone. Because before I used to get her family involved, like, hey, she's not coming home, and then why'd you call my family? I just want everyone to leave me the thing alone. But I was like, okay, this time I think she stepped up her game. Like she's blocking everyone. But now that she missed our daughter's birthday, and like with all this pressure with the media and everything, there's something keeping her from contacting us. So my sister-in-law is, I don't really try to think about that stuff because it's like mind-numbing, but I'm trying to stay positive. But when people are telling me, hey, maybe she got into an accident while she's hiking, and she can't get her phone, like, well, her phone would be right next to her. Like she wears fabletics, so it would be in her pocket. So worst case scenario, I don't know what's keeping her from, contacting anyone, but this pressure should be enough pressure to say, hey, you guys, I'm okay.
Right.
So I'm not quite sure what to think, but I'm still trying to, keep my head up, trying to say, hey, keep positive and say, I'm hoping, like she'd just come home, even though this whole situation is embarrassing. I don't know what to think, but the longer it's going, the more like surreal it gets, because what they say is like the first 48, 72 hours is the most critical. I've seen enough movies and documentaries about this kind of stuff. So like the worst case scenario is basically something's happened like very terrible. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
right.
And this is like really whoa, come on, why did you have to do this, the whole thing? But I'm really worried and shaken. But again, like most of the time it's just numbing, like, you know, surreal kind of deal. I'm just worried about her and, you know, trying to keep things normal with the kids because I know they don't show it, but, you know, it's really affecting them. So a gut-wrenching feeling, and, you know, you break down a little bit. It's like, well, you know, she would never not even say, hey, honey, you know, happy birthday kind of deal. So.
And they...
Yeah, she's asking, but she's kind of like me, you know, keep yourself in the shell. Don't really want to, you know, open up. In the past, like, before, she would just, like, stay at the park or park somewhere or go, like, in the parking lot, and the, you know, that's years back, even this past year, you know, she just stay away. This year, she'd, like, you know, like, go out, drink with friends or stay at a friend's house, you know, and try to sleep it off. Couple months, she's been, you know, like, wanting her space, so she'll go out with family to places, and she'll just go out for days and stuff like that. But at least I know where she's at.
So how
you know?
when she...
Like, maybe a day for, like, till 2:30 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Oh, yeah, never more than a day. You know, again, I always tell her we have 3 kids, you know, you can't be doing this kind of stuff. And, yeah, she would never be that irresponsible not to say, hey, I'm okay. So, I told the police, you know, she really likes hiking.
Okay.
You know, wine tasting, so Temecula and stuff like that. But I don't know what else to think, like, who would, you know, kidnap her or... She has, yes, but that's the one, like, close to the house. We have a hiking trail in San Miguel Park, or San Miguel over here. That's the only time she would go by herself. And yes, she has before in the beginning, but she would take her car. So
Right.
She would go to the one, I don't know, the Santee one or the one in the Mesa. I forgot, there's a mountain. But, you know, yes, those ones she would go by. So, but most of the time she would go with hiking mamas, with Shane. And then, you know, she's like one of the leaders, and then everyone else is like whoever shows up to that group. Just training for this hike that me and her tried when, like, 10 years ago before we had kids, down the Colorado River and the Grand Canyon. Anyway, it takes about a day to go down there. So she's been hiking and hiking. It's kind of a stress relief. And she wanted to do this, like a 7 hiking trail, like, you know, Twin Sisters, Devil's Peak, or Potato Chip Rock, and all the ones that she keeps mentioning. And I was like, didn't have her car, a friend would have to pick her up.
Okay.
So that's the only reason why I was like, maybe she's wine tasting or hiking with a friend. Because she's not jeeping because her car's here.
Right.
You know, she has her own vehicle, and she has a Jeep. Like, she specifically goes for Jeep groups.
So what has...
I've been emotionally, physically, mentally drained. There's no sleep, not eating. You know, just my face looked like it just ate.
So once again, this is Maya Millette. She's 39 years old. She's missing from Chula Vista, California, near San Diego. If anyone has any information, please contact Chula Vista Police at 619-691-5151. She's known to go hiking, jeeping. She's pretty active. And apparently she left the home with her phone, but it's off. And her vehicles, her Jeep, her Lexus, everything is still at the house. Her husband says he's still hopeful she'll turn up and say, hey, I'm okay. Please bring Maya home. Thanks, everybody. Talk to you later. Love you. Bye.
Police served a search warrant at her home last night. Investigators searched Maya Millette's home again late Saturday night, this time with a search warrant. The Chula Vista mother of 3 was last seen nearly 3 weeks ago, and while police won't say what was seized, they maintain this was a necessary step in the case.
I can't give any details to the investigation. But what I will say is that we've been actively investigating this case, and we're at the point now where we're trying to get as much evidence and any clues we have that is possible to find where May is.
Police stressed Millette's family is cooperating and her husband wasn't the focus of the warrant.
We really are doing everything we possibly can to come up with answers right now. And I want you to know that my entire crimes of violence team has been working around the clock on this case from day one, and they are following all leads. And I want to assure our community that no rock is being left unturned.
We're not gonna give up on Maya. We're gonna find her. We're not gonna stop. And we need everyone's help. And your prayers, we believe in your prayers. We can move mountains. It can be a miracle. We will find my sister.
Now let's listen to Billy Little Jr. with the Cold Case Foundation. He had previous dealings with Larry Millette earlier this year.
My name is Billy Little. My position, the family has asked me to assist. I'm an attorney and an investigator. The family has asked me to help locate the sister, daughter, missing Maya Millette. The family asked me, the family approached me when Maya went missing and nobody had heard from her. She went missing on the 7th. The family contacted me, I believe, on the 9th, after she had been gone a day and a half or so, asked me if I could assist in finding May, or Maya. I'll just call her May. So it was the 11th of January of 2021. I went over there. I'm not sure if Larry, the husband, was going to open the door, was going to talk to me. I just went up, knocked on the door, told him who I was. He invited me in the house. I went in the house. I immediately noticed the windows all open, the fans on full blast. It was chilly in the house. I told him I was there looking for May, and he invited me in, and I had a discussion with him. We walked through the house, went up to the bedroom where she had been locking herself in for the past several days to ostensibly get away from Larry. When I went to the bedroom, I immediately noticed a hole, probably 10 inches long by about 6 to 8 inches tall, rectangular shape that had been freshly repaired. It was right by the handle. There was a lock on the inside of the door. I touched the repair material and noticed that it was still damp. I said, "Hey, Larry, this is still wet. It looks like you freshly repaired this door." And he said, "Oh no, that was a hole that May had punched in the door." So, and I knew that that was untrue from other stories that I'd gotten about how the holes in the house had come to be. Well, it went through the door, went through both sides of the door. So in other words, and this is just, let's say the door is locked, you wanted to break in the door, or get to the door, you could punch through that hole, reach through the other side and unlock the door from the other side. The location of it was maybe 3.5 feet, the height of the doorknob. So it's not the position that a person, if you're just angry and punching a wall, it's not the position that the hole would be in. Now, I did see another hole in the bedroom wall that was consistent with maybe a shoulder level punching hole. That one was not wet. That one had dried, but it appeared to be the same repair material, some type of putty or stucco material. No, I knew that that was going to be the case because of the people that I talked to before I went to the house. They told me that the house had been open with all the windows on, and that Larry had told them that the air conditioner was broken and that's why he was doing it. So didn't ask him when I went in there. I already expected that to be the condition of the house. I was mostly at that point seeing if I could smell anything, if I could smell any bleach or smell the smell of a dead body. And of course, there's absolutely no smell. I mean, the air movement was such that you couldn't smell anything in that house. Again, I've been informed by other witnesses that I spoke to that there was an allegation that there was a freezer that had been taken out of the garage, and that turned out to be true. I confirmed that both at the house and when I found the freezer from the person who had taken the freezer. Well, my real goal in going in the house, my primary goal was to start to establish a relationship with Larry so that I would have an open line of communication with him so that I could go back to back, and this would not be a one-time shot. I had some other information that I knew about the house and about Larry that I tested while I was in there having a conversation with him. One piece of information that I knew going in was that he had asked someone to borrow gun cleaning equipment to clean his guns on that weekend. So that seemed odd to me. When your wife is missing, you want to start cleaning your guns. So I tested that with Larry. He confirmed that with me, that he had in fact asked somebody to borrow gun cleaning equipment. I then discussed with him about gunshot residue on his hands. He said, oh yeah, I've been out shooting the last few days. So I wanted to test that. Wanted to see about the freezer. So I just, as I do a walkthrough, I just wanted to look for things that I knew or expected to be. I looked in the room quite extensively, looking to see if I could see anything that had been obviously cleaned up or repaired, like the holes in the walls. But mostly, it was mostly conversational with Larry. Again, establishing a relationship with the belief that I would have another opportunity to talk to him, which I did not. The Chula Vista Police Department asked me not to talk to him anymore. So I didn't want to interfere with their investigation. So I didn't. At that point, I assumed that they were moving forward aggressively with this case. And again, it's not my goal to interfere with somebody's investigation. So if they have a plan, they didn't share their plan with me. If they had an interrogation plan or an investigation plan, they didn't share any of that information with me. I just deferred to their judgment at that point. So the garage had been cleaned. Again, didn't notice a smell of bleach, but the garage had clearly been cleaned. Things, I hadn't seen the garage before, but it was pretty spotless in there. And the freezer that the people told me should have been there was not there, and the people that told me that the freezer had been missing, it was the freezer wasn't there. So at that point, there's no reason to talk to Larry about it. He's just going to, I assume he's going to lie to me like he did on some other things. So I just tracked down the freezer myself. I left when I found the location of the freezer. Actually, before I found the location of the freezer, I called Chula Vista Police and I said, hey, there's a freezer missing from the garage. They said, okay, thanks. At that point, they were still accepting information from me. Then there was no action, so I found the freezer myself. I went over and found it from one of Larry's relatives, went to his house, interviewed him, inspected the freezer, and have a photo of the freezer, which I provided to you. He said that he had been planning on taking that freezer for a long time. So that was just coincidence that it happened within 24 hours or 30 hours of her going missing inside the same garage. It's when I'm interviewing witnesses, they will tell me about something. I'll say, do you still have that text message? If they have it, I'll ask them to either forward it to me or take a picture of it on their phone. In fact, when I was in the house, Larry had his phone out and mentioned a text message and let me take a picture of his text messages. So that's just what I do. People are generally accommodating. And so multiple witnesses in this case either showed me their text messages, let me take pictures, forwarded me the text messages. There were some Facebook chats that they would screenshot and send to me. So I have a large number of texts and Facebook messages and emails that I've collected. So the best I can tell, that it started in January of 2020. The text messages that he sent numbered sometimes in the hundreds per day. And it was, obsession would be the right word for it. He started by complaining to family members. He started by accusing his wife of having an affair, going to her supervisor, insisting that male coworkers be moved with absolutely no evidence that there was an affair going on. I have interviewed all the people involved in that particular instance. And so that was the first time his obsession continued. Then it went from that individual to another individual that was a coworker. It started ramping up as 2020 went on, and as May started moving more and more towards a divorce, he became more and more desperate. The religion was used with family members, with May, all through the beginning of 2020, all the way probably up until September, when it was not working with May. He tried to force her to read the Bible. He tried to read the Bible to her over long trips, and it would just annoy her. He would quote scripture. I think I've sent you some of those. And so that didn't appear to be working as a way to control May, to get her to stay in the marriage. It didn't appear to be working to use religion to have her family force her. He also tried to have the pastor force her to stay in the marriage. And then I sent you the picture of the blood altar that he created with the picture of May's face and his face and the candles around it and blood sprinkled on it. And at this point, May is talking to her friends and family members and people and saying that she's definitely going to get a divorce now. And this is at the end of 2020, just prior to her going missing. She has to go to family to ask to borrow money to retain an attorney because Larry has locked her out of the bank accounts. He's changed the safe combination in the house. Even though she's the primary breadwinner, she doesn't have control over the money in the relationship. He does. So she goes to family members to borrow money to hire an attorney so that she can get out of that marriage. We do tend to get sucked into this black hole that Larry wants us to get sucked into, which is discussing whether or not she was having affairs, right? And I haven't been able to confirm that. I can tell that there's a lot of irrational thought coming from him, and he's made at least one false allegation of that. But this is the discussion that Larry wants us to have about whether May is a bad person or not. It's a giant red herring that he's been sending the family on for the past year. And it was he was ultimately unable to control her. The day she went to the divorce lawyer to set up the appointment is the day she went missing. So she filled out the intake form on the Thursday that she went missing. The appointment was scheduled for the next Tuesday. I got involved probably on the 9th of January. And so I contacted the divorce attorney. I'm guessing it was on the Monday. I don't have a log of that. So her appointment was for Tuesday. And at that point, I already suspected, that she would not show up, but I confirmed that when she did miss her appointment on Tuesday. I confirmed that she did not show up or call. So she set up the appointment with the divorce attorney on Thursday, during the day on Thursday. She then had a three-way call, Facebook call with her friends that evening, probably around 5:30. And that is the last that anybody heard from her. So Thursday evening, sometime after 5:30, is when something terrible must have happened. This is a circumstantial case because we don't have a body yet. It may never have a body, but prosecuting murderers shouldn't depend on how well they can dispose of bodies. And there are a lot of cases that go to trial without a body. And this one, the circumstantial evidence is so strong, but you need all of it. So for example, you need to know that on December 25th, he had a conversation with a witness saying that he wanted to kill May, but he had to plan it well. That on that same date, he also expressed a desire to kill the purported boyfriend. And then fast forward a week, on January 4th, he has another conversation with a person who says, hey, would you help me hire somebody to kill May's boyfriend for $20,000? And then 3 or 4 days later, she goes missing after that. After she decides, okay, I've had enough, I'm filing for divorce, boom, now she's gone. Then you have to put that into context with the things that come after that, which is him stalling the family to report her missing, knowing, in his own words, that the first 48 hours are the most important time period. So knowing that, he stalls the police until after 48 hours. And then combine that with, he says that he goes to the beach for 12 hours or so on Friday, leaves his phone at home, doesn't bring the kids' phones, and doesn't have a phone, any sort of tracking device. And then he's gone for 12 hours after she goes missing. But every weekend after she went missing, there was a search party, and he participated in none of those. So according to him, he didn't have time because he had the kids. So he's got time to go to the beach when she goes missing, allegedly goes to the beach, but he doesn't have time to go look for his wife who's missing. And so it's a story, and it's a circumstantial case, and I think that it's hard to put it into context without knowing all of the information.
My thoughts and prayers are with Maya's family and friends. Let's hope that she's found soon. Thanks a lot, everybody. Talk to you later. Bye.